Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen. Wassalatu wassalamu ala Sayyidil Mursaleen. Amma ba'd. Fa'a'udhu billahi minash shaytanir rajim. Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. As-salatu wassalamu alayka ya Rasulallah.
Salatu wassalamu alayka ya Rasulallah.
Wa ala alika wa ashabika ya Habiballah.
Wa ala alika wa ashabika ya Habiballah.
As-salatu wassalamu alayka ya Nabiyallah.
Salatu wassalamu alayka ya Nabiyallah.
Wa ala alika wa ashabika ya Nurallah.
Wa ala alika wa ashabika ya Nurallah.
Dear viewers of Madani Channel, welcome back to our silsila, Evils of Society. Today, inshallah Azza wa Jal, we will be discussing the evils of social networking. But before we continue with our program today, let us listen to a fazilat of Durood Pak. Shaykh Tariqat Amir Ahl Sunnat, the founder of Dawat Islami, Hazrat Allama Abu Bilal Muhammad Ilyas Attar Qadri Razvi Damat Barakatum Al-Aliyah, writes in his book Faizan-e Ramadan, the blessings of Ramadan, under the chapter Blessings of Eid al-Fitr, with the reference Rahat al-Qulub, page 72. A beggar once begged something from some disbelievers who sent him to Sayyidina Ali karramallahu ta'ala wajhahul kareem, who was standing at a close distance. The disbelievers did so with the intention of ridiculing Sayyidina Ali karramallahu ta'ala wajhahul kareem. When the beggar asked Sayyidina Ali radiyallahu ta'ala anhu to give him something, Sayyidina Ali radiyallahu ta'ala anhu recited durood upon the Nabi sallallahu alayhi wasallam 10 times and blew it on the beggar's hand. Then ordering the beggar to close his fist and open it in front of the disbelievers, he sent the beggar to the disbelievers. The disbelievers were laughing, expecting nothing to happen. When the beggar opened his fist, it was surprisingly full of gold dinars.
Subhanallah.
Having seen this great miracle, this karamat, many disbelievers embraced Islam.
Subhanallah.
Sallu ala al-Habib, sallallahu ta'ala ala Muhammad, sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. Salatan wa salaman alayka ya Sayyidi ya Rasulallah wa ala alika wa ashabika ya Habiballah. Inshallah Azza wa Jal, we will listen to a few verses or a verse from the Holy Quran. A'udhu billahi minash shaytanir rajim. Bismillahir rahmanir rahim. يا أيها الذين آمنوا لا تلهكم أموالكم ولا أولادكم عن ذكر الله ومن يفعل ذلك فأولئك هم الخاسرون آمنت بالله صدق الله العظيم. Translation from Kanzul Iman. O people who believe, may not your wealth or your children cause you to neglect the remembrance of Allah Azza wa Jal. And whoever does this, so it is they who are in a loss. Sallu ala al-Habib, sallallahu ta'ala ala Muhammad, sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. Salatan wa salaman alayka ya Sayyidi ya Rasulallah. Wa ala alika wa ashabika ya Habiballah. Now, inshallah Azza wa Jal, we will listen to a few verses of Naat Rasul sallallahu ta'ala alayhi wa sallam.
मदीने की तरफ फिर कब रवाना काफिला होगा, मदीने की तरफ फिर कब रवाना काफिला होगा। مجھے اذن مدینہ کب میرے آقا عطا ہوگا، مجھے اذن مدینہ کب میرے آقا عطا ہوگا۔ یقیناً روز محشر صرف اسی سے خوش خدا ہوگا، یقیناً روز محشر صرف اسی سے خوش خدا ہوگا۔ یہاں دنیا میں جس نے مصطفیٰ کو خوش کیا ہوگا، یہاں دنیا میں جس نے مصطفیٰ کو خوش کیا ہوگا، مدینے کی طرف پھر کب روانہ قافلہ ہوگا۔ وہیں سربر سرے محشر بلندی پائے گا جو سر، وہیں سربر سرے محشر بلندی پائے گا جو سر، یہاں دنیا میں ان کے آستانے پر جھکا ہوگا، یہاں دنیا میں ان کے آستانے پر جھکا ہوگا، مدینے کی طرف پھر کب روانہ قافلہ ہوگا۔ کوئی ہفتہ نہ کوئی دن، کوئی گھنٹہ میرا بلکہ، کوئی ہفتہ نہ کوئی دن، کوئی گھنٹہ میرا بلکہ، کوئی لمحہ بھی اس یا سے نہیں خالی کیا ہوگا، کوئی لمحہ بھی اس یا سے نہیں خالی کیا ہوگا، مدینے کی طرف پھر کب روانہ قافلہ ہوگا، فقط نیکوں پہ ہوگا گر کرم سرور عالم، فقط نیکوں پہ ہوگا گر فقط نیکوں پہ ہوگا گر کرم سرور عالم، کہاں جائے گا وہ بندہ جو بدکار و برا ہوگا، کہاں جائے گا وہ بندہ جو بدکار و برا ہوگا، مدینے کی طرف پھر کب روانہ قافلہ ہوگا، نہ گھبرا موت سے عطار، برزخ میں تو مل لینا، نہ گھبرا موت سے عطار، برزخ میں تو مل لینا، وہاں غوث الورا ہوں گے، وہاں अहमद रजा होगा, वहाँ गौसुल वरा होंगे, वहाँ अहमद रजा होगा। मदीने की तरफ फिरका, मदीने की तरफ फिर कब रवाना काफिला होगा। मुझे इज़्ने मदीना कब मेरे आका अता होगा।
सल्लु अलल हबीब सल्लल्लाहु तआला अला मुहम्मद सल्लल्लाहु अलैहि वसल्लम सलातन व सलामन अलैका या सय्यदी या रसूलल्लाह व अला आलिका व अस्हाबिका या हबीबल्लाह. Dear viewers of Madani channel, today we are living in an age of technology. The IT industry over the last decade has advanced manyfold. Today we are talking about social networking and the evils of social networking. Many of us may know of many social networking sites. Today we have Facebook, we have Twitter, we have WhatsApp, we have BBM, so many sites. And especially the elderly may not be as tech savvy as the young generation. But we have to be aware of the evils of social networking so that we can guide our children on the path of Sirat Mustaqim. Yes, there are advantages of social networking, but there are greater dangers to social networking as well. Today, in this technologically advanced world, people are networking with others while sitting in front of a screen, in front of their computers, whilst holding a mobile phone in their hand, while sitting in front of a tablet. You can network with people around the world. And this has some advantages, but at the same time, it has many disadvantages as well. Many young children that are using the media, the social networking sites to network with people around the world fall victim to these social networking groups. There are some people who pose to be young children that lure young kids, and they interact with them via these social networking sites. And then they become friends with them. You know, on some of the social networking sites, you add a person as a friend. You don't know the person, you don't know what he looks like, you don't know where he comes from. But now you've been chatting with this person for so long that you've become friends with that person and you have a certain amount of affection for that person. And now this person wants to meet with you in real life, out of the cyber world. And when this person comes and meets with you, so many evils can take place. There are syndicates out there that are luring children and trying to get in touch or trying to kidnap children through these social networking sites. And very recently in the news, we heard that there was a syndicate of adults that used to lure children using social networking and then kidnap them and hold them for ransom. There's also something called cyberbullying, where children get bullied on these social networking sites. And there is also very recently, there was a case of a 12-year-old who committed suicide because of cyberbullying. So what are firstly, there are some advantages we understand, and there are some disadvantages, there are some evils of social networking. What would you have to say about the evils and some of the advantages, if you can touch on that, on social networking?
If you just recall, not so long ago, 10 years ago, this was just a means of communication. And that is how, just 10 years ago, how we received our communication. We wouldn't even think there was evil linked with it. how we shared information, how we spoke, how we sent messages. Now, what you've mentioned, if you see a person sitting in front of an iPad or on a phone, you cannot see what he's doing, what he's communicating. It may look very innocent, that he's doing an innocent communication. It could be your own son. It could be your daughter. Because of not supervising and not connecting with our children, what happens is we don't know what's happening with them. Like as you said, they could be also a victim where they are being bullied and they don't even know and you don't know. Yet as a parent, if you were involved in their lives, they could come to you. But how come, as you mentioned, this cyberbullying, people are being bullied, young kids, they can't turn to anybody. Why is it? So that is something we have to think of, because this is becoming more and more widespread. As you said, it's not one case, many cases where children committed suicide. And I heard of 2 cases where this happened in one of our Muslim countries, where one girl was portrayed as an evil person. In fact, they took, from this social network, they took a picture and they manipulated to make her look like she was doing evil things. Yeah. And then people started shunning her, even her friends, and she couldn't take it and she committed suicide. Now what happened to another case? Yeah, this girl innocently, she contacted somebody and he spoke a lie that he's a medical doctor. And this was very famous, it came in the newspapers as well. But he manipulated her, and when she came to know that he was a liar, she broke communication with him. So he took her picture and he managed to manipulate it in such a way that showed that, again, depicting doing filthy things. And he sent this through this network to various people, including the rector of the university where she was. The rector called her in and she told her, I thought you came from a very decent family. She was forced to resign. When she went home, she didn't discuss it with her parents because she was so shocked about what happened. And she was completely innocent. And she locked her in the room. Then eventually the family managed to communicate, and then she broke down and told them this is what's happening. And she was also on the verge of committing suicide. But fortunately for her, her parents were broad-minded. They said, listen, we trust you. We know you couldn't be doing this. And they got the police involved, and they managed to trace this person who did this. As you can see, now people post the pictures. They cannot, even sometimes post the pictures of themselves, their friends, their family. What can happen by doing these things? So this is something we have to think of as well.
Dear viewers of Madani channel, many people these days on social networking sites are posting pictures of themselves, of their families, without Shari'i hijab. Wife is posting a picture of the husband in the beach with his satar also exposed. Now, firstly, the act of doing that is haram, is not permissible according to Sharia. But then you are making an entire network of people witness to that evil which you have committed. So how are people sharing, very private stuff with people who are total strangers?
I was just thinking about one point that comes to my mind about our children. Our children grow up right in front of our eyes. And as the child gets older, he gets attracted to this so-called technology of the TV or the computer or the tablets or the cell phones, etc. When he reaches a certain age, today a child is requesting one thing from his parent. Ammi Jaan, I need a cell phone. Abba Jaan, I need a cell phone. So innocently the child gets the cell phone. And now the first thing he does is he starts
networking.
He starts investigating into it and sees how each department works on the cell phone. And then he picks up the internet and now starts to get into networking. And eventually this so-called beautiful, once upon a time, wonderful child that we had, that we used to catch, we used to capture on our shoulders, we used to hold them tight upon our chests, etc. Now they have moved away from us. They have found a new company, a new pal. And that pal is that small box, either in the form of a tablet or a cell phone, etc. Now the child starts to sit move away from us, he's now sitting in a corner. Every time family is together, the child is busy. He has something in his hand and he's busy with something, busy playing with something. We're not sure what they are doing. Whether they are chatting, whether they're on Facebook, whether they're on Twitter, whether they are BBM, whether they're watching movies. We're not even sure what they're doing. When you start to talk to them, also they cannot hear us. The whole world of the child is now concentrated onto one small box. It is the cell phone or the tablet. They're in a different network, totally different lifestyle, totally different network.
They become
altogether.
totally isolated
Totally
from the
isolated.
reality of this life.
Mother is calling, my beloved daughter, come, it's about time to eat. Father is saying, my Jan, please come to the table, we're about to eat, or come to the lounge or the dining, we're about to have supper. Doesn't listen anymore. When they rush to the room, he's got a set of earphones in his ears. The girl has a set of earphones in the head, and they're busy nodding their head. As soon as they see the parent into the room, immediately they move the earphones out of their head, and with shock and amazement, okay, I'm coming, you're calling me, I'm coming. And then they, a lot of shock, a lot of hope, a lot of fear, then they get on the table. And whilst they're busy at the table, daddy is talking, but under the table, they're busy networking. G.
Even whilst having supper,
Even whilst having supper.
they're still continuing, the chatting, etc.
Totally, they've been engrossed into a totally different world. If we're looking at ourselves, I mean, we are approximately between 30 to 35, 40 years old. We go 40 years back, 25 years back. There was no such thing. We had something for the kids. We had a family networking.
Correct.
We called it a
That
real
was your,
social.
that was
a
your social unit.
networking.
Yes.
Now this is what we call a social media networking. Totally, it's taken our social networking and put into a media form, into a box, into a tablet, or into a cell phone. And everybody is busy in this lifestyle, all engaged into social media.
And away from the reality of
Away
life.
from the real world. So parents are becoming upset. The mother is becoming upset. Father is shouting the child. Mother is shouting the child. What are you doing? Don't you know you are supposed to be eating with us? Why can't you leave your friends? Why don't you leave Twitter? Why don't you leave Facebook? Each one is shouting, each one. Sometimes to such an extent, father says, I wish that my child was not born. I wish Allah Ta'ala never gave me this child. Once upon a time, you were carrying and caressing upon your chest. Now, you are wishing that this child was not born because of one thing. Social networking.
Once upon a time, in years gone by, when parents wanted to punish their children, they would ground them. In other words, they couldn't move anywhere. They had to stay in their rooms. These days, it is so difficult to get the child out of their rooms because inside their rooms, there's a computer. Inside their rooms, they have the freedom of using their cell phones. Inside their rooms, they have the freedom of using their tablets. So nowadays, to isolate your child is no longer the solution. Nowadays, the punishment is, I'll take your cell phone away from you. I'll take your tablet away from you. I'll take your computer away from you. Whereas before, it was isolating them. Now, isolating them is of more danger than anything else. The ayah Karima which we recited earlier, where Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala mentions in Surah Munafiqun, para number 28, verse number 9, that, O people who believe, may not your wealth or your children cause you to neglect the remembrance of Allah. In this ayat of the Holy Quran, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is speaking about your wealth. Now social networking has become such an addiction that person goes into the masjid to listen to a bayan, to listen to the advice given by the imam. Then too, whilst the bayan is going on, you find people chatting away on their cell phones. Even inside the masjid, while the khutbah is going on, people are chatting on social networking. And it has become such an addiction that even the masjid is not left empty of this evil of social networking. That every moment of the day, they have to be on, and they do not chat only with one person. They have an entire group of people that they are chatting with at the same time. And that too, like you said, sitting at the supper table or dastarkhan, you're supposed to be spending that quality time with your family. It's a time of, the most basic social unit is the family unit. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says in another part of the Quran, Ya ayyuhalladhina amanu ku anfusakum wa ahlikum nara wa kuduha an-nasu wal hijara. that, O you who believe, protect yourself and your family from that fire whose fuel is humans and stone. So it is our responsibility to protect firstly ourselves and our children and our family members from the fire of Jahannam. Dear viewers of Madani channel, this is the maqsad, this is the purpose of this silsila, evils of society, so that we can protect firstly ourselves and our family from the fire of Jahannam, whose fuel is human beings. The fuel of the fire of Jahannam is humans and stone. So here, the children, not only children, even adults are addicted to it. In the corporate world, when there is a meeting request sent out, these days, it will be specified that this is a berryless and topless meeting. What does it mean, berryless and topless meeting? It means no Blackberries, no smartphones allowed in the meeting, nor any laptops allowed in the meeting. It is a specification when meeting requests are sent out, even in the corporate world. Because what is happening, that when there is a company meeting of managers, meeting of staff, you will find people again busy on their cell phones or tablets, doing social networking, chatting to others outside of the meeting, and they do not give their undivided attention to what is being discussed, and companies are losing billions of dollars all the time because of this undivided attention that they are getting from their employees.
You just mentioned, just previously you mentioned about the masjid. In the masjid, okay, let's take example, you won't find too many people social networking, but you will find some. When you talk about the corporate world, of course, even now in the corporate world, whether you're at business or the workplace, etc., people are social networking. Leave the masjid, leave the corporate world, go on the street. I want the viewers of Madani channel to just realize this one point. I just stand across the road and just watch the people as they're walking past. First one walk past, he's networking as he's crossing the robot. Second one is walking past, he's networking as he's picking up with a packet. The third one is networking as he's buying a newspaper from a shop. The fourth one is networking as he's drinking some cold drink or some juice or some water. Every second, every third, every fourth person leave the street. Now go to the robot, look at the robot itself. When you come to the robot, the cars are stopped, 4 or 5 lanes. Look at the first car, look at the second car, look at the third car. Everybody is networking, not only in the masjid, not only on the streets, not only in the cars, every corner of the world at the moment. Social networking has become a bombardment. It is taking over the lives of each and every one, whether it's on the positive side or on the negative side. We would hope, especially for the viewers of Madani channel, that may it be on the positive side. Because why? At the moment, when a person is social networking, if he's doing haram, may Allah Ta'ala forbid it, that we are not doing haram, inshallah azawajal, and we are hopeful and we keep husn zan, good thought about the views of Madani channel, that they are also not committing haram. But if they are committing haram, for example, if they made one guna on Facebook, just one guna, and after some while they decided that now I made tawbah, and now I'm out of social networking. I now closed down Facebook, I closed down Twitter, I closed down BBM or whatever M they have on the market, whatever type of social networking. And now he says, now I'm a pious person, and now I'm going to be obedient to Allah Ta'ala, His beloved Rasul alayhi salatu salam. I'm going to be namazi, I'm going to be following the sunnah of the beloved Rasul alayhi salatu salam. Yes, your networking has shut down. But remember something, when you went, you had no haya. You showed your guna, your backbiting, your tailbearing, your so-called bullying on these type of social networking. And that will continue. You have stopped, but that will continue. Somebody takes your story, they paste it. Somebody takes your picture, they paste it. Somebody takes your music, he pastes it. And they will say that person gave it, that person did. It'll continue, maybe you in your qabr. But your sin
is continuing. Gunah-e-Jariyah.
Astaghfirullah.
Dear viewers of Madani channel, we are not saying that social networking is entirely evil. No, you can use social networking to do neki ki dawat, invite people towards goodness. You can use social networking to do nahyun anil munkar. You can forbid people from doing evil. There are many good uses, like a knife can be used to cut a fruit, but the same knife can be used to kill a person. It depends on how you utilize the tool, and that will be the result. But we find that these days, the evils outweigh the good. Like you said, that people, when they start social networking, they post many things. A lot of ghibat happens, a lot of false accusation. In fact, I've heard of incidences where there were proposals for a young girl for marriage. And what the family do, they use one of the search engines and they search any profile of the prospective husband-to-be. And they check what was his activities on social media, on the social networking sites. And if they find him, posing with pictures with other girls, etc., behayai, then they would think twice of giving their daughter. So the effects, like you said, they're long-lasting. He may have changed. He may have made tawbah from his previous sins. He may have changed his life, but that image will always remain in the cyber world. It is something to really consider.
It gets saved, actually.
It gets saved. It is
because
these are servers that are around the world that are hosting these social networking sites.
But you see, there is something that maybe you fail to realize. The people who are manipulating this, they are far away from spirituality. So they know young people are attracted by certain filthy things that they portray. So therefore, we cannot see, because we are not as yet interacting with the young people, what and how they are the time is being stolen. That means the person came in the masjid because of his love for certain filthy sites. He can even be accessing that in the masjid. This is something that we have to understand, that young people have a certain interest that is taking them away from deen. So you are not concerned. In fact, who is the person that got them the phone in the first place? That means there should be some kind of restriction. We are too scared. Like our children say, no, my friends have got phones and their father is not like you. You are too old-fashioned. So we want to appear modern. So we don't question and we trust. Sometimes we over-trust our children. So this is where they take advantage. And what we're actually doing is taking our children and putting the children into the hands of shaitan. Because all these evil sides have been manipulated by shaitan. Because shaitan is got a jang, war against us. So we are unconcerned. The only time, as I said, something terrible happens that is beyond repairs, then we regret.
Then we regret it.
As the thing about social networking, there's the real physical dangers. You find many people while driving, they're busy with the phone, chatting. There have been many incidents. In fact, there are now experts who are advising, please put your phone off while driving. There have been serious accidents made. In fact, there was one interview with a person who wiped out a whole family while chatting on the phone. And he said to himself, he was regretting, when they interviewed him 2 years after the accident, he was crying. He said, I was doing chatting, which was not even important, but see, I wiped a whole family off. And there were many such people.
This is one of the evils that we are talking about. In many countries, it is illegal to use a mobile phone whilst driving. And, it has become law in many countries. I'm sure most of the countries around the world, it is law that you cannot utilize your mobile phone whilst driving a motor vehicle, because your attention is now divided. Yeah? And you need to be fully focused on the road. You need to know where you are going. You need to observe the signs, the signboards that are there. You need to observe the traffic rules. So if you are passing by traffic rules and you're...
It takes you almost a split second to lose control.
Only a split second to lose control of it.
You're so busy.
This is another evil of the social networking, that, you've lost your real life. In the real world, you've lost friends. You don't have any friends. You don't have any social group anymore. Everything has become virtual. So now, in order to fill that void, that gap that is left, because it's a human need that we have a social need. We are social beings. We have to be part of a social group. So now, to fill that void, constantly you want to be chatting to those people in your social network. Yeah? So that's the reason why you are totally detracted from the reality that is in front of you at that point in time. So, dear viewers of Madani channel, as the ayah says, O you who believe, protect yourselves and your family from the fire of Jahannam, from that fire whose fuel is human beings and stone. How do we protect ourselves?
Viewers of Madani channel, very often we find that sometime when Muslims do certain things, some Muslims who do things that are evil, so they try and portray all Muslims as evil. So you find this negative image is planted. So whenever anybody see a Muslim, they have a picture in the mind that Muslims are evil. And in this way they vilify Muslims. And unfortunately you find, because of this social network, more and more people's minds are destroyed because of this negative image. So we can change this. Because also mentioned many people, especially intellectual people, who were also affected by these negative views of Islam, decided to study the deen themselves. And they were shocked when they started studying deen, they started studying Islam, they were studying the Quran. They found that our deen was so beautiful, and many of them became Muslims, they reverted to Islam. So as we can see, there are a lot of positive things that we can say. That means if we use the same network and portray deen, that means instead of just letting, like as we say, Madani channel. When Madani channel came in, there were so many evils on the TV. Now with Madani channel, you have something that people can turn to and become more educated about deen. So even in this case, why can't we have something that will also give positive message, like from Dawud Islami, positive message, so that people can also form network, social network, and start propagating our deen. And we can reach people who haven't had contact with Muslims, and this way they can get more educated about our deen as well.
There's one example. There was an Islamic brother, and one day he approached me and gave me a good news. He said, very soon I'll be getting married. I said, Subhanallah, you'll be performing the nikah? He said, yes. I said, where is the girl from? He says, the girl is from a certain city in the country, which is approximately 600 kilometers from him. So I said, mashallah, you managed to meet the family and the parents, etc. He said, no, I was networking. I was social networking on the BBM. And I found my so-called partner to be on the social networking. So I said, are you really sure? Did you meet her yet? He said, no, we haven't met her yet. I haven't met the family yet, but I have her pictures and we've been communicating and the date has been set, and very soon I'll be going to the city and we'll be making nikah. So I said, are you sure? Is this the right tools for you to find your beloved wife? Is this the right tools to find the partner for your life? So he says, yes, I'm satisfied. I said, okay, let's do one test. And I said, okay, what is the BBM number? And I said, okay, I gave another guy the BBM number. I said, now you try this BBM number, PIN number, send it to this girl, and see if this girl contacts with you back, because he hasn't met the girl. He don't know who she is. He only saw a beautiful picture on the Facebook and on the BBMs, on the Twitters, etc. And he's in love with her. So next minute, after 10 minutes, his friend gets a reply back. And the reply come back, the picture, how are you? I am this person, you are that person, who are you, where are you from? Already the conversation started, and this guy's crying on the other side.
Allah.
I said, if you use the wrong means of search, you use the wrong means of search, you head towards disaster. Now, how many other lives the girls are fooling around on social networking? How many lives have been damaged? How many husbands' lives have been damaged? How many wives' lives have been damaged? How many children, our innocent girls' lives have been damaged? How many young boys' lives have been damaged? Only with mixing and messing around. I told him, if you use the proper tools, you got a proper result. By using the wrong tools, you got the wrong result. And the proper tools is what? The proper tools is in the obedience of Allah Ta'ala, and that means the Quran, and in following the sunnah of the beloved Rasul alayhi salatu salam. If you followed Allah Azza wa Jal and his beloved Rasul alayhi salatu salam, subhanallah Azza wa Jal, Allah Tabarak wa Ta'ala, why not? If you made a special dua that, oh Allah Azza wa Jal, give me such a pious wife. That, oh Allah Tabarak wa Ta'ala, such a pious wife that must remind me of Bibi Fatima Zahra radiyallahu ta'ala anha. Subhanallah Azza wa Jal. What a beautiful dua. May Allah Tabarak wa Ta'ala grant you such a pious wife. But that is the proper tools. Tools of dua, the tools of Quran, the tools of hadith, the tools of the sunnah of the beloved Rasul alayhi salatu. It would have saved you from this type of guna. If Allah Tabarak did not will that I come to meet you, and we do this planning, then today maybe you would be in more trouble. Then maybe today talaq would be started. maybe some other relationships start. So this social networking can be a disaster if it is used, as a tool for the wrong work, a method to lead us towards sin. Then we are in trouble. So Alhamdulillah, he understood it. And Alhamdulillah, he made dua in the barakah of Allah, he made tawbah, he made istighfar, he made tawbah that Allah Ta'ala grant him a pious wife. But you look at social networking. I want viewers of Madani channel to look at this point. If, for example, one guna was committed on social networking and 1 million people read your message, 1 million people were attracted to your message, 1 million people accepted your message, 1 million people followed your message. Allahu Akbar, you are in trouble. If 1 million people pass the message to another 1 million people, then 2 million people already got it. But if as you mentioned to the viewers of Madani channel, that yes, this so-called Twitter and Facebook and all this social media networking that we are using can be used for the pleasure of Allah Azza wa Jal and His beloved Rasul alayhi salam. Imagine you took a Quran ayah or hadith of the beloved Rasul alayhi salatu salam, or some saying of Sahaba Ikram alayhim ridwan or Taba'in or Taba'in or Buzugan Deen, and you pasted this on the network, and subhanallah, it went out to 1 million people. 1 million good deeds in your account times 10. 1 million good deeds in your account times 10, and who knows, maybe one day it'll become 1 billion good deeds in your account times 10, we don't know. But you have to use these tools, this social networking, for the right cause. Otherwise,
we can use it for Sadai Madina.
Yes.
We can use it to invite others to travel on Madani Qafila. We can use it to encourage people to practice upon Madani In'amat.
Allahu Akbar.
But like you said, it could have been such a great disaster if this Islamic brother went ahead with that nikah. And it is even a haqq of an unborn child that the father must, it is the rights for both the parents, that the parent must look for a pious spouse. Because what type of tarbiyat will that child have if the parent is networking with 100 other strangers? Yeah?
The mother in particular.
Particularly, we don't want to even restrict it, but both parents. You know how many cases, in fact, our Darul Ifta Ahl Sunnat Islamic brothers must have had many cases where it actually may have even led to talaq in some cases because of social networking, where the fight started because of social networking. The husband is asking the wife, what are you doing on Facebook? No, I'm just chatting with my school friends, and school friends are ghair mahram, and sharing pictures with the ghair mahram friends. Then the fight starts in the house. Eventually it leads to talaq.
Yes.
What is the need? What is the need to network with people? There is a saying, befriend those whose friendship will help you after death. Befriend. And if I'm not mistaken, this could be the hadith of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, which says, befriend those whose friendship will help you after death. In other words, that if a person who you are going to befriend is going to take you towards Jahannam, do not befriend him. And if the friendship of that person, if you befriend a person and his friendship will take you and remind you about Akhirah, will bring about good character within yourself, will bring about a change within yourself, will continue the remembrance of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, then befriend that person, because that type of friendship will help you after death.
Viewers of Madani channel should be so happy that Allah Azza wa Jal gave us Madani channel. So it's also social, it's a networking. And subhanAllah, you think about our Shaykh Tariqat, Amir al-Sunnat, Hazrat Allama, Maulana Muhammad Ilyas Attar Qadri. Allah Tabarak grant him a long life and good health. Of course, we initiated this beautiful Madani channel. And subhanAllah, 24 hours a day.
Subhanallah.
24 hours a day, the message of the Quran, the Hadith, the message of inviting people towards goodness and stopping from badness is continuing. Almost in millions and millions of homes throughout the world. People are benefiting from Madani channel. So the Hadith Mubarakah. So how much of thawab is in the account of Shaykh Tariqat Amir al-Sunnat, subhanAllah.
And this is a typical example, dear viewers of Madani channel, that here we are, seated in the tip of Africa. You may be listening to us in Europe. You may be listening to us in America. You may be listening to us in Pakistan or India. You may be listening to us in different parts of the world. But Alhamdulillah Azza wa Jal, this message, this neki ki dawat, this invitation towards goodness is reaching you through this media this social networking, or this this media that we have, this Madani channel that we have in front of us. So Alhamdulillah Azza wa Jal, there are many more Madani pools to be discussed on the topic of the evils of social networking. We have discussed about how we are, if we commit evil on social networks, it could spread like wildfire. And we discussed about the dangers towards our children, that they are being cyberbullied. We discussed how children can be kidnapped. There's also the threat of human trafficking. There are so many other evils. But one of the evils that we want to highlight today is that it is taking precious time that can be spent in the dhikr of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. It is taking away that time from our lives. Shaykh Tariqat Amir Ahl Sunnat, the founder of Dawat Islami, has written a very beautiful risala. This risala is a masterpiece on time management. The risala is called Priceless Diamonds. If you have a Maktabatul Madina in your locality, in your country, please purchase this book called Priceless Diamonds. And if you do not have Maktabatul Madina in your area, visit our website www.dawatislami.net. Acquire this and read the many Madani pearls Shaykh Tariqat Amir Ahl Sunnat gives us with regards to time management. And how should we spend the 24 hours that we have in the day? How should we spend it? And how did our pious elders spend their lives? Inshallah Azza wa Jal, I am hopeful that it will bring about a Madani revolution in your lives, and you will find the time to worship Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Many of our pious predecessors, Sayyidina Hazrat Imam Azam Abu Hanifa, rahmatullahi ta'ala alayhi, in the month of Ramadan, he would make tilawat of the Quran, complete khatam of the Quran 61 times.
SubhanAllah.
Once in the morning, during the day, once in the night, and one tilawat the whole of in the month of Ramadan. So every day in the morning and in the evening times 30 days is equal to 60, plus the one that you recite in Tarawih Salah, 61. Shaykh Tariqat Amir Ahl Sunnat has gifted us with Madani In'amat. Everyone who practices upon Madani In'amat should read at least 3 verses of the Holy Quran with translation and tafsir. Inshallah Azza wa Jal, if you focus your attention for the purpose that we have been sent in this world, and that is to worship Allah and His Rasul sallallahu alaihi wasallam, inshallah Azza wa Jal, you will find that you will have time to make the dhikr of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Keep watching Madani channel. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala protect us from the evils of social networking. Ameen bijahin nabiyil ameen sallallahu ta'ala alayhi wa sallam. Ghibat ke khilaf jang
जारी रहे
na ghibat karenge na ghibat sunenge
इंशाअल्लाह अज़्ज़ा व जल
muhabbaton ke chor
चुगलखोर चुगल
qufle Madina
लगा रहे
inshallah
अज़्ज़ा व जल
shaitan ke khilaf jang
जारी रहे
صلوا على الحبيب
صلى الله تعالى على محمد.
محمد